Hello everyone. Let me see if I can straighten this up a little better. How are you doing? Today I'm going to show you how to make egg rolls, how I have always made egg rolls, and how I'm going to make egg rolls keto for me. I'm going to make egg roll in a bowl, but I'm going to make egg rolls for my husband because he likes them in a wrapper. Alright, so get 2 pounds of sausage, any kind you want. I have 2 of these. An onion, and I have an onion and a half because I have a half left over. I'm going to grate this up. And then 2 bags of tricolor coleslaw. Used to, I would use a bag of carrots, a whole head of coleslaw, and shred all that up. But now I just buy the tricolor coleslaw. So much easier. First thing we're going to do is cook both of these pounds of sausage together in 1 cast iron skillet. When it gets done, we leave the grease in there. We add 2 bags of coleslaw, the shredded onion that I have, and then some soy sauce. Just got some soy sauce like this. Add it to the skillet until it is all tender and juicy. To make the egg rolls, you're going to need egg roll wraps. I buy these in the produce section. And I will show you once I get to where everything's done. I will show you how to wrap those and how it goes when I get to that point. But for right now, let me get my sausage cooked and add everything, and I'll show you a couple of clips along the way. Okay, this is probably going to be a little bit loud, but I don't want to hand chop my onions, and I don't want to get the shredder out and shred them. So I've got this mini chopper. And that's all it takes, and they are chopped up into fine pieces. And I'm going to go put this in with my sausage because it takes a little more time to cook than the cabbage and carrots does. I'm going to go ahead and go put this in there, and that was only half of an onion, so I've got 2 more halves to do. One thing you don't want to do is add your onion before you add your blade. You always have to get this set on here. I tend to do that every time. I tend to add my onion before I add my blade. Got to put your blade down securely first. And you can only add half of an onion at a time or it won't chop it. If you get too much in there, it won't chop what's on top. It's not a perfect machine, but it's dang good. It works really quickly. And it's a lot easier than spending all that time chopping it. Well, it's not quite chopped completely, but that's okay. I'm done messing with it. Whatever's not chopped will just go in the trash this go round. Okay, now you're looking at my cast iron skillet with sausage in it that's almost done. I got a few pink pieces here. I'm using the spatulator. It's one of these to get all this ground up well. And to get everything mixed in, it chops the meat and grinds at the same time. So I'm getting this mixed up in here, and then I'll add the coleslaw in just a second. Alright, so everything is done here, and I'm going to add the 2 bags that have the tri-mixed coleslaw in it to this. The tricolor coleslaw. When I shred it myself, I usually only use just green cabbage and carrots, but this is fine with the extra purple cabbage to it. And my daughter is also wanting her broccoli the way that I normally fix it, so I'm just going to add it to this, but I will not add it to the egg rolls. This makes a lot, y'all, but I'm not going to add it to the egg rolls. But I'm going to put it in here so it'll go ahead and cook and saute with all of this, and it will taste really good for her. Come back here in a minute when this is cooked down a little bit, and I'm going to stir the sausage into it also. Okay, so when I stir this in here, I just very carefully pick up and flip over, and it's messy sometimes because my skillet is so full, but this all that you do. And then when you get to adding the soy sauce, I usually add it at this point. I go ahead and add the soy sauce, and there is no set amount. It is whatever it is to your taste. So when I start, I'll show you here. I just do it like this. And that's how I start with. And then I'm going to let this cook down, season, simmer, let it wilt a little bit. And then I try it. And if it needs more soy sauce, then that's when I add it. I never do have a certain amount that I add. Because every time you make it, either the last cabbage is bigger or there's more sausage or more carrots. It just depends on how you make it and how much soy sauce that you want. So real quick, I'm going to cut up my daughter's broccoli and I'm going to add it to this. That way it can start to cook along with this. You'll see it as I'm stirring here in a minute, but I'm just not going to put it in the egg rolls. Here we are again, and I'm adding more soy sauce. I'm going to add what's left of this bottle. Can you see? It's not a whole lot, but I'm going to add what's left of this. I did try it, and that was not near enough. So I'm going to add the rest of that. I also am putting a little bit of water in my bottle, shaking it up. Going to add that just so that I can use it all. And I have a feeling I'm going to have to look for some more. I don't think that's going to be enough. I've got a huge pile here. This is like a 16-inch skillet. And I've got a big old pile of this, so give me just a second. And let's see how that tastes. And listen, do not add any salt. Soy sauce has a ton of salt in it. So never add salt to your recipe. You might could add garlic or onion powder, but do not add salt to this. Alright, so hang on just a minute. Let me see if I can find more soy sauce here, and then I'll get back with you in just a minute. I found some soy sauce. I cannot believe it. It was the last place I looked, but I found some. I've tried it, and it needs a little more. So by now, I've probably added like 1/4 cup of soy sauce. It's not a ton, but it is quite a bit. Like I said, it's on your flavor, however you'd like. Alright. So I'm going to turn you guys off here. I'm going to get this the rest of the way cooked, which it is almost there. I'm just adding soy sauce till I like it. And then I'm going to show you guys next the step in wrapping the egg rolls. The egg roll wraps, what they look like, and how to wrap them. This is the more delicate part of the egg roll wrapping process. Okay, when you get an egg roll wrapper, let me show you here. One of them is like this. It's paper thin. So what you do is you take it, you put a little bit of egg roll meat in there, and then you roll it up. When you do, then you want to fry it. Well, I'm the only one at home right now. I'm going to need some help, but I don't have any. So usually this is a two-person process, makes it a whole lot easier. So what I am going to do today is do a few at a time and not get too far ahead of myself. So I'm going to show you, I have a cast iron skillet with oil in it, and it's getting hot enough to fry these in. It's a little more than what covers the bottom and then of oil. And then I've got my other cast iron skillet with all of my fixings in it. And it is leaned over, kind of tilted on its side a little bit so that the juice will run down to the bottom, because these egg roll wrappers are so thin, you don't want to get a lot of juice in them because it makes them wet and then they fall apart when you've got them in the grease, and then they pop and it makes a really big mess. So it's best if you try to drain a lot of your grease or soy sauce off of the cabbage and carrots. And then you wrap it up, and you can only stay like 3 or 4 ahead of yourself, because if you wrap them all and put them all on the counter, what happens is they sit there and the egg roll wrapper gets wet, and then when it gets wet, it sogs through, and then you've got a whole mess on your hands. So it's best to do it this way. One thing you're going to need is a cup of a little bit of water that you can dip your finger in, and that's how you seal the egg roll wrapper. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to aim you down a different direction. I'm going to show you, and then we'll get right to it. Okay, I'm going to try this and see if you can see it this way. So I put my egg roll wrapper there. I'm going to need a spoon, and I just get 1 spoon of this. It'll take you a little bit to figure out how big your spoon needs to be. And then you put it in the middle of your wrapper. Let me turn it this way. It's easier for me. You roll it up one. You fold in both of the sides. And then you want to wet the top corner. And when you roll it over and over again, then there's your egg roll. And this is where you don't want to get too many of these pre-made ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and make 5 or 6 for my skillet. And then I'm going to give it a few minutes. Now, I should have had more meat than that. That was not big enough. So this time I'm going to try to keep the broccoli out of there. This time I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to fold I guess you can fold it however. You just don't want the meat coming out of the sides. And you just fold and roll. Now my oil's still getting hot, so I want to kind of do this quickly before my oil gets too hot, because I don't want them to burn. Everything's done. Of course, everything in the egg roll is done. So all you have to do is just cook the outside of the shell. So that really doesn't take that long. Oh, I forgot. I get ahead of myself. I'm trying to hurry. I may have a little much in this because this is kind of sticking out here, but we'll see when I roll it. I just want to tuck it and roll it. I'm going to go ahead and set these in here. I usually set them, see how I'm busting right there? Can you guys see that little busting spot? Got to be careful about that. And yes, the oil is ready because it's popping when I set them in there. I'm going to go ahead and get these 3 in there. And I'm just going to have to, this is going to go quick. Once they get started, it does not take long for it to go quick. It's best if you kind of let this cool off a little bit also, so it's not scorching your hands. But let's see. I'm just doing the best I can with one person at a time. With only me, nobody else in here helping me. And still, if I had my daughter come in and help, there's really, she probably could roll them, I guess. But I wouldn't want her standing here this close to the grease and the fire with these, because if one of these suckers pops, I'm telling y'all, it gets crazy. It looks like I can fit, what am I on, like 5, this is going to be 6, I can probably fit 7 in my skillet. So whenever, it's best when you tuck it, if you can tuck all of the corners in at the same time, and when you roll, just kind of fold it all in and roll. Okay, there's 6, and let me do one more. I think I've got enough room for one more. And I'm doing one big scoop. This is a pretty big scoop. It's like, you know, big scooper. So, and I always kind of put quite a bit of water on the end so it'll stick good and hold on to it. Alright, I'm gonna hang on. And grab these pinchers. This is usually how I flip them. Just gonna scoot them over a little bit, and I'm gonna lay this little fella right in there. Be careful and don't drop them. Scoot you over till I get this first batch done. So I've got them in here. They're all frying. They're doing just fine. And while those are frying, I'm gonna move this broccoli into a plate. All right, let me move this spatula. All right, looks like we're doing good. And then you want to keep scraping your fixings up to the top to let all of the juice drain down so you don't get juice in your egg roll wrappers. Oh, there's some more broccoli. Let's put that over here. Alright, now it's time to flip these. They're starting to pop, and I can see they're getting brown on bottom. Very carefully. Just roll them over. You need something to put these on or to put these in when you're done. That way that the grease will drain. So when they start looking like this, they're done. When they get like that on both sides, when they're brown. That one was not quite done enough. Can y'all see that? Okay, so I'm going to leave that one a little bit longer. Even though this one's got a couple of holes in it here, you can see it. It hasn't popped, or nothing's blown out, so that's great. I'm just going to keep like rolling these until I get all 3 sides done, or 2 sides, depending on how they're laying in here. And I have a strainer bowl from Tupperware that has the strainer on the bottom, a bottom bowl and a lid. And I'm going to put them in there, one so they'll stay warm, and the other so that I can get all the grease off of them, because you don't want them sitting in grease. You can lay them on a towel or a napkin, whatever works best for you. If you hear that getting louder, it's because this one here, I can see, nope, it's this one. It is making a lot of noise because it's got a hole right there. So grease is getting up in there and popping around. So let me get a bunch of these done up, and I'm going to do all 15 of them that came in the package, and then whatever's left, I'm going to eat my egg roll in a bowl without the shell on it. The rest of them will be for my husband for the next couple of days at home and at work. But I'm going to show you how I do this. Lord, have I ever got a mess going. Alright, let's flip this one over one more. That one's ready. Ready. That one's ready. I think for some reason these that were up on the side here are not as done. Oh, I know why. My skillet scooted over a little bit on the fire, so whatever was on that side didn't get as done. It's not as hot over there because my skillet scooted over just a little bit because I have this other skillet leaned up on its side, kind of in the way. So I'm gonna go with this, and I'm gonna keep putting in I'm going to stand these up over here so that they can drain out the bottom. I'll touch that other one I just put in there. It'll leave me more room and they won't be draining on top of each other. I'll be real careful when I scoot them around in the skillet so that it's real easy to poke a hole with these hot tongs. Let me set this down. I don't have enough room. Everything in my kitchen. Uh-oh, I dropped some. Did y'all see that? Now, leave me a mess to make in the kitchen. I'm making my mess. That's okay. It's going to taste good, and I will clean the stove when I'm done. I'll get it all wiped down after this. My husband should be coming home here before long. Oh, I left work a little bit early today, and oh, I tore a big hole in that, y'all. A big hole on accident, so I can either rewrap it, or I'm just going to take some water, I don't know if you can see this, and try to repair it. I don't think that's going to work. It was too big of a hole. I'm going to be very careful when I lay it in here. And I'll be very careful when I flip it over. We'll see what happens. Just don't want it to bust and make a huge hole, because everything falls out in the skillet. And that makes a mess when that happens. It makes your whole skillet grease yucky, and you have to you almost have to empty your skillet and start all over with new grease when you do that. When it pops. Maybe it'll go ahead and hold together. When I flip it, I'll flip it toward the skillet. Let me go ahead and do that. It's worrying me. We'll see if I can hold it by holding it against the side of the skillet. Let's see how that works. Alright. There's not going to be a lot left for me. I may just stop here. You really cannot keep these egg roll wrappers in the refrigerator. They say put them in a Ziploc bag. If you don't use them in a few days, they really do not work well. It is best that you go ahead and use all that you have. I'm going to not make the last one. I have one more left, and I'm okay with throwing away one. But I'm not going to make it this last one that I have, because that won't leave me very much to eat. If you can see what's left in this big skillet here, you probably can't. There's not much left. Let's check on the one with the big hole in it. Oh, you guys, I think it's going to hold. It looks like it's kind of sealed itself up a little bit. Just don't want it to bust. Alright, flip this little fella here. Now I'm almost done, so it's not going to be a horrible thing. I've got a couple about to come out, so I think it's going to hold. We'll see. See how that goes. And for me, we'll see what's left over here. Got a piece of broccoli in there. So that was like 2.5 scoops. It's going to be like 2 egg rolls is kind of the way that I judge it. So I'm not going to wrap this last one. I'm just going to throw it away. Be no big deal. Is everybody rooting for the one with the hole in it? Because it is still hanging together. You can see it. And hold it a little different. You can see the hole right here. It's still hanging together. It's just going to pop a little bit. That's alright. It's alright, as long as it holds. There's really not anything to plate up or anything that you can see. It's just egg rolls on a plate. It's plenty to eat. 2 or 3 of them. My husband will be full. And I'll eat the 2.5 scoops that I got for supper. And that will be our supper tonight. We'll see you guys on the next round. Thanks for watching. Bye.